Hello YouTube and fellow Star Wars collectors. On this episode of Toys Are the Way, I will be sharing my quick fix solution for upgraded soft goods on the latest vintage collection Darth Revan action figure. If you're new to the channel or a fan of Star Wars collecting, then smash a like on this video, remember to subscribe, and make sure to ring that bell to stay notified. Welcome back everyone. So as I mentioned in my previous video where I reviewed this wonderful all new from the ground up TVC Revan, I wanted to find a solution to the not so great plastic hood and tabard on the lower skirt. They simply just didn't do it for me and really took away from the figure in terms of functionality and aesthetics. Soft goods are always best and will really take posing and action figure photography to another level. So with that being said, let's take a look at this quick fix solution. The main supplies you'll need for this project are extra TVC figures, simple and to the point. We will be using the cape from an extra Grand Inquisitor for the replacement tabard and the hooded portion of the cloak from Luke Skywalker Imperial Light Cruiser to finish off everything else. Start by removing the soft plastic hood from Darth Revan and disassembling the rest of the figure by popping off the Sith Lord's head using some applied force, and then removing the soft goods cape, which is looped around the barbell neck joint. Once these items have been removed, we will need to separate the torso from the lower half of the figure. Boil some water in the microwave for about 5 minutes, and then pour it into a plastic container of some sort. Please note that you shouldn't use anything you plan to eat out of later, as the plastics will likely leave a toxic residue when boiled. Once Revan has sat in the bath for about 2 to 3 minutes, the plastic torso should be soft enough to use some applied force and pop the barbell right out of the body, which will then allow us to remove the soft plastic belt and tabard from the figure's waist. We will not need the lower legs or skirt, so simply set them aside with the torso. Moving on, we will need to remove the cape from the Grand Inquisitor. You will likely need to boil some additional water at this point, and then submerge the figure as done previously. Although, once heated up, we will be removing the piece of the plastic armor from the figure's back, which looks like it's mostly held in place with some glue. This combined with the soft plastic chest armor, which is also glued in on the front side, keep the cape loop secured in place. So simply unwind it and we will have some material needed for our custom soft goods project. Next, we will need to remove the horribly obtrusive plastic tabard from Revan's belt using an X-Acto blade. Carefully cut along the edges of the sculpted belt to remove the cape portion from the molded plastic piece. Naturally, you want to make as clean of a cut as possible, but just shave off any excess that remains and then set the belt aside as we will be moving on to the next step, cutting the soft goods. Using the plastic tabard as a reference guide for cutting the fabrics was a great idea and made this process quite easy, accurate, and enjoyable. Once everything was set in position, I placed a few pieces of blue tape to mark the measurements and then simply used a pair of scissors to cut the material needed for the project. While it might be shocking to see this nice piece of material from the Grand Inquisitor being cut up, please note that I will be saving all the scraps, as they'll make excellent bandanas for future custom aliens. But as you can see, this exceptional piece of fabric looks fantastic when held up to Darth Revan for reference. Moving on, we will need to attach the soft goods to Revan's plastic belt. To do so, I opted to align the fabric the best I could and then set it in place by attaching some blue tape. This would keep everything properly aligned, but allow me to fold the fabric back in order to apply the adhesive needed. Next, using my hot glue gun, I applied the smallest dab of glue that I could manage, which is always a little tricky, and there was of course the smallest amount of bleed. But once everything was set in place and the blue tape was peeled back, I was able to quickly pick off the excess hot glue with some tweezers, no problem. If this happens to you, just try to remove the excess sooner rather than later. But all in all, so far so good with this project. With the lower portion complete, we will need to reassemble the figure using some additional boiled water. Once again, heat up some water for about 5 minutes and then submerge the upper torso in the hot water bath. I would recommend only heating up the barbell from the lower legs for a couple seconds rather than submerging, as we do not want to compromise the soft goods that we just glued into place. Finish off the assembly by carefully reattaching the cape loops around the barbell neck joint without tearing them, as they are made of a rather delicate material. And lastly, finish it off by snapping on the head. Next, we will need to address the replacement hood, which will make this figure much better in my opinion. The soft goods from Light Cruiser Luke are really impressive and have noticeable stitching that I did not want to cut, as it would likely lead to issues later. Therefore, I opted to cut below the stitching line on both sides of the cloak, as I would simply be folding these parts in to mimic the folds that are seen on the soft plastic hood. Once again, I used a piece of blue tape as a guide that helped mark the length on the back. I then slipped the plastic hood on to help distinguish and mark the curved look that I wanted to achieve for this custom. Using a pair of scissors, I carefully cut along the imaginary dotted line that was created by the blue tape, and was left with a small hood that would make a perfect replacement for the Sith Lord. There was a slight difference in length on the front of the hood, but I wasn't concerned as I would be folding those pieces in. But cutting them would probably work as well. Once tucked in and properly placed on Revan, you can see the soft goods are absolutely the way and should always be used instead of soft plastic hoods. I hope you've enjoyed this video and taking a look at my quick fix solution for upgraded soft goods on the vintage collection Darth Revan. Here you can see how wonderful this figure poses and displays with the new and improved hood and tabard. The lower skirt certainly benefits from this upgrade, and the character is no longer hindered from the plastic piece, which was just all around awkward in my opinion. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And don't forget to drop a like on this video and subscribe if you're new to the channel. It really helps and is always greatly appreciated. Thanks everyone, and may the Force be with you.